I'm trying to build up defenses for this Lego village, which is under attack. But will these castle walls, working weapons, and army of guard dogs be enough to save them? Let's find out. So this is the peaceful island town of 27ville. It's got markets, workshops, and a bunch of farm animals. But no weapons. The villagers here are so peaceful that they have absolutely nothing to defend themselves with against the onslaught of Viking minifigures rapidly heading their way. They're going to burn 27ville to the ground if no one stops them. So the villagers built a working Lego catapult using the only ammunition they had. Yeah, this isn't gonna work. They needed someone just as ruthless as the Vikings to protect them. Someone with the skills of a mercenary and the mind of a beast. They needed the help of Fang, the Wolfpack Beastmaster. He was a member of the feared Wolfpack gang, and because of that, no one really liked him. The villagers banished Fang to the cliffs on the outskirts of the island, which is where we can build his hideout that I'm basing off this really old Wolfpack tower set from 1992. The stone arch bridge makes for a foreboding front staircase, and I want to make the black walls pretty tall to traverse with these ladders.
Fang, we need to talk.
But since the gang is filled with rebellious renegades, I realized that if I wanted to give the tower scoliosis, there's not a thing you can do to stop me.
Please spam the comments with, wow, you look really cool and rebellious, because that's kind of what I was going for.
I dotted the wonky walls with barred windows Fang could peer out of to see the growing mob outside.
Don't worry, we're not gonna hurt you.
No, that makes it sound like we're gonna hurt him.
Well, I don't know.
And we can top it all off with the iconic red roof, where I used these shield pieces to give it this incredible shingles pattern like the medieval blacksmith set. And speaking of shields, I also added the Wolfpack insignia right above the door. We'll have to get to the interior later though, because please, Fang, you're 27ville's only hope. They offered him a cartoonishly large bag of money to keep the village safe, and after much consideration, he decided to take the job. Fang gathered everyone together in the village square and explained the 3 things they needed to remotely stand a chance: walls, weapons, and warriors. We'll get to those last 2 later, but for now I've got 3 big bags of bricks. Just a second, sorry. Okay, I've got all these bricks to build the tallest wall possible without having to take apart Monkey Island, which is very important to me specifically. However, I chewed through my entire supply way faster than I was hoping, and all we have to show for it is this pitiful wall. This is like 670 bricks, but it definitely won't be tall enough to keep the Vikings out. So we're going to completely start over and use lots of smaller pieces this time. This will add more detail to the wall and save on our 2x4s. It's a win-win-win. The only downside of doing it this way is that it took much longer than the first time. But I think it was well worth the grind. And here is the final piece. This is literally me right now. It's kind of crazy seeing the entire village enclosed within these walls. The livestock maybe doesn't have the most space in the world, but seeing how the barricade is basically taller than the tallest house, I would hope it's finally high enough to keep the approaching Vikings out. But just in case, we should probably add ramparts all across the top to stand on, and this pattern called crenellations you're able to safely fire arrows between. Oh shoot, they're almost here! Time to speedrun the second W. Weapons. I left these gaps in the corners for 4 massive guard towers. Sorry, I don't know why this one looks like a foot. But anyways, on each of these towers, we can test out a different medieval weapon. Okay, not that one. Instead, I've always wanted to build a Lego Trebuchet, which is like a catapult, but it uses a battery-powered counterweight to fire automatically when you release this lever. Also, starting now, we're using actual ammo in the Trebuchet because the villager's running out of goats. Weapon number 2 is a Ballista, which uses twisted ropes to fire giant bolts at the would-be invaders. Just gotta crank it up and fire. Oh. Sorry, I just wanted to test it would work. This next one isn't exactly based on a real weapon. I just really love power miners, and I've always wanted to make a giant claw arm like this magma mech set has. So by combining a bunch of Technic beams together in this pattern, it actually reaches from the tower to the ground. Probably not the most effective weapon, but if we can snatch at least one Viking with this, I'll be happy. And then there's the weird foot-shaped tower. What on earth are we gonna put here? Oh, they're here early! Man, I had a whole third W to finish. Fang had sent off his messenger wolf Mason to round up some reinforcements, but the Vikings got here first. He's gonna have to hold down the fort all on his own for now. And they're already climbing over the wall. They just keep coming. It was looking like 27ville was doomed from the start, until some of the villagers joined in to help. Gerald and John Murphy were homeless before the village took them in, and they weren't gonna let it go down without a fight, pushing one ladder over and pouring boiling goat cheese down another. With the immediate threat taken care of, each of them took to a different tower to fire up the weapons we built. Yes! Let's go! We'll get them eventually. Maybe. Okay, 2 out of 4 towers are keeping the Vikings out of the walls, for now. But you may be wondering why they're even attacking in the first place. Well, they're trying to steal the terrestrial topaz.
Fire!
One of the villagers named Pearl discovered this gem and its otherworldly power to raise land masses up from the sea, like the island the village is built on, Fang's Island, and the island where I'm finally building her a house, which is shaped like a croissant. She kind of made mortal enemies the Vikings on her journey though, and now they're back for their revenge. But I used the remnants of her destroyed raft to add the slide, shipwreck, and obviously the monkey tiki bar to this tropical pirate paradise, where her parrots, monkeys, Clunka, and Gloppy can live. But Pearl herself was forced to hide within the safety of the village walls, because if the Vikings got a hold of the topaz, the fallout would be catastrophic.
Wait, you brought them here?
Well, thankfully their archers are really bad shots and haven't even made it above the wall yet. Wait a second, oh, they're making another ladder. That's actually kind of sick, but the only way to take it down is for Fang to swing down on this rope to remove each of the arrows. Uh-oh, now he's trapped out here with all the Vikings. He sprinted behind the back wall that I totally didn't leave completely blank and snuck into his hideout that I forgot we also still needed detailed. On the first level, he's got some weapon storage and target practice. Then in the middle, there's your classic bedroom, kitchen, and bathroom combo. And he just kind of shoves the rest of his junk up here in the attic. With such an awkward space, I love how cluttered and alive it all ended up looking. Oh right, the Vikings! He climbed his newly furnished base up to the roof and made a leap of faith. Just barely grabbing onto the weird, realistic big toe. Why is this a foot? But more importantly, the Vikings finally gave up trying to get over the wall and are now digging under it. I don't know why we weren't prepared for that. But they're starting to get into the village and wrecking havoc everywhere. Yes! But there were just too many of them for Fang, Gerald, Murphy, and Pearl to handle. And pretty soon, the entire village would be saved by the Wolfpack cavalry. They're finally here! Except now they don't have a way to get in. The Vikings blocked off their tunnel. So let's knock out part of the wall and quickly replace it with a portcullis made with super sturdy brown pieces. Now we can raise it to let allies in and close it to keep enemies out. This Viking's chill though, we can let him in. And while Fang's comrades are dealing with the invaders, let me introduce you to Odin and Aspen, our melee specialists. Eric and Fenrir, sharpshooting archers. Ragnar, the tamer unleashing all these ravenous wolves. I actually don't know who these two are, they must be new.
I'm a human.
Wolfgang, the group's designated cook. And Brian, the ideas guy. He doesn't really do any fighting, but he's a vital member of the team. Also, I had to buy a lot of expensive Wolfpack minifigures to build all these guys, so please like the video. Brian watched as the gang defeated every last Viking that had gotten in, but not before they had torched, destroyed, and eaten 27ville's entire food supply. Eventually, all the surviving villagers would starve to death, which is exactly what the rest of the Vikings are counting on. They've changed strategies once again and are just gonna wait the villagers out now, picking off anyone who ventures out for food one by one. In a cruel twist of irony, the walls that had been keeping everyone safe suddenly became a prison. And to make it out alive, they needed a really good idea. Okay, hear him out. When real-life Vikings discovered Iceland, they named it Iceland to scare everyone off. But I went to Iceland, and that place is as green as my science notebook. They lied. So Brian suggested renaming 27ville to something so awful, so undesirable, that it gives the Vikings second thoughts about invading. Perfect. All right, next he asked Ragnar to bring out his most vicious beast. More vicious. More. Okay, the image of him riding this one goes incredibly hard, but we can do one better. There it is. They stationed the critters around the wall as even more intimidation, but they're still here. Okay, fine. We'll disguise Eric and Odin as the village's royalty and go pretend to sign a peace treaty. I don't know why we didn't make Aspen the queen, but the Vikings just laughed in their faces. They're awfully confident, almost as if they have backup too, which doubles the size of their army and brings in Stognar the Smelly, Garson the Unjust, and General Throg.
Hey, you copied our montage.
They converted this incredible Viking set from 2006 into a ship that uses these springy soccer pieces to rapid-fire explosive missiles. And with countless Vikings spilling into the village, Fang knew he had failed. None of his preparations had been enough. Not the walls, not the weapons, not even the warriors. And this time, there was truly no one left to save them. It's a good thing that the entire castle can transform itself into a giant mecha robot. But the Viking ship can also transform into this abomination. Get ready for the ultimate final battle. Charge! Great job, everyone. We defeated the Vikings once and for all and saved the village. Name this guy in the comments for next time, and thanks for watching. Bye.